Horror games manipulate your brain. Lethal Company, Phasmophobia, Alien Isolation, Five Nights at Freddy's, Scary Shawarma. Who put this on the list? What do all of these games have in common? They're barely showing you anything. Most horror games don't scare you with monsters. In fact, they don't need to. Horror games scare you with uncertainty. In this video, we're going to look at the psychological tricks developers use to manipulate your brain, and how, when you peel back the surface, most horror games really aren't scary at all. Chapter 1. Fear of the Unknown. Your brain is far better at imagining something scary than any developer is at showing it. This is why horror games have dark hallways, a lot of fog, closed doors, and sounds where you can't see what is making the noise. That's the scary part. The monster that you imagine is usually scarier than the one that's actually there. That's why games spend a lot of time hyping up the monster reveal, whether it's through cutscenes, sounds, brief flashes, or dialogue. Games want to prolong the monster reveal, to up the ante, increase tension, and give the player a chance to grasp how truly scary the monster is. And most of the times, I'm not gonna lie, the monster's buns. And that segues us into the next chapter. Chapter 2. Darkness is a cheat code. Darkness hides details, creates uncertainty, and on top of all that, saves performance, because when you have fog and dim lights, you have to render less. Sound familiar? Let me give you a little example. I made an IKEA horror game, and as you can see, if I adjust the lighting, it changes the entire mood. Because the more the player can see, the more comfortable they are because of their surroundings, and the less scared they are, which is not something we want in a horror game. Horror games hide monsters in darkness, because the moment you see them, you're not going to be scared anymore. It's a pretty strange effect. I was watching the movie Predator, and I was scared of the creature the entire time because I didn't know what it looked like. But the moment bro was shown on screen, the whole scary effect wore off pretty fast, because now you know what to expect. That's what video games need to do. Never meet your expectations of what you think the monster is going to look like. I used this example before, but in Silent Hill, adding a whole ton of fog not just matches the vibe of the game, but also saves so much on performance, because the game doesn't have to render a lot. Chapter 3. Audio is doing most of the work. Audio basically carries the whole game, because this is one of the strongest factors to making a horror game scary. Listen to this. Yeah, there's nothing there. Now let's add some ambience. Some breathing, some creaking, screams of the undead, I guess. Now our scene is 10 times scarier than it was before we added audio. In video games, having good audio or not can make or break the experience. A bad visual experience but good audio experience can still have a successful video game. But a good visual experience and a terrible audio, that's gonna drag the entire game down. Some good sound effects that can really add a bang for your buck and make the game seem professional are footstep walking sound effects, jumping and landing sound effects, and sound effects for other small details like opening doors, pressing buttons, or dying. Trust me, I know. Chapter 4. Anticipation. Horror games often intentionally make monsters less effective. You know how sometimes a monster is chasing after you and sometimes it still hasn't caught up? That's because if you died instantly, it would ruin the whole effect than if the monster was hot on your heels. Like the same thing is in Temple Run. Like the monster's been chasing you for, 30 minutes and it still hasn't caught up. Anticipation is scary, and video games take major advantage of this. Horror games don't want to kill you, they want to make you think you're about to die. I also did this in my IKEA horror game. Instead of having the monster run faster than me and making it seem impossible to run away, I set the run speed a little bit lower below the player's run speed. That way, after a bit of running, you can outpace the jump scare and get away. At least until you run into it again and you die. Chapter 5. Jump scares aren't the scary part. Surprisingly, on a horror game, jump scares are not the scariest thing. It would make more sense too if you had a jump scare. That would mean more horror, because why wouldn't a loud flashing scary thing be scary? But in reality, it's the tension that equals horror. Look at horror movies. It's never an immediate jump scare. It's always a minute or two of lead up, with the anticipation of the jump scare being scarier than the jump scare itself. I know that for a fact, because every time I watch a horror movie, I'm always covering my ears so I can't get scared. The jump scare gets the credit, but it's actually the tension that does all the work. So, as usual, I decided to take this experiment to my own hands. A few months ago, I made this IKEA horror game in Unity, and I used a bunch of the tricks in this video to apply to the horror game. The first major trick I used was darkness, because the less you see, the more scared you are of seeing the monster and what it looks like. Another thing I also did was make the monster run around the level in random patterns. That way you weren't sure where it would appear again. That randomness can creep you out because you don't know if the monster is on your heels or not. Another thing I did was add sound effects and ambience. The lack of something going on really creeps the player out because all you hear is the sound of nothing. and a few small creaks here and there. The less you show the monster, the scarier the game becomes. To put it simply, horror games don't scare you with what they show. They scare you with what they don't show. And that's why the scariest thing in most horror games is your own imagination. If you want to learn how to make your own video games, well, I have just the perfect course for you. It's a beginner course where we learn how to use Scratch, the easiest and most versatile game engine for beginners. In this course, you learn basic game development fundamentals, as well as how to make 6 games. Guys, thanks so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment, and check out my coding course in the description for beginners if you want to learn how to make your own video games.